welcome, genties and ladlemen, to episode 22, 23? No, 22. I genuinely lost count. At the day of recording this, my brain is soup. Um, it's an episode, I'll find out, and the title will be there, and you've obviously read that. To a new episode of Cracking the Shell. Today we have got a little miniature Dead of Winterfest special with Paul from Rumination and Dawn of Chaos. How's it going, sir?
Yeah, good mate. Yourself, how's things?
Yeah, bit of a bullshit day at work, but it is what it is. It's worth it when I get to come home and just do this and chat shit to loads of cool people. But before we get into what you're doing now, and like obviously Dead of Winterfest is coming up, we'll talk about that as well. I'd like to hear just how you got into this absolute insane style of music and like the origin story, how your first bands, how Rumination came about, how Dawn of Chaos came about, all that.
So I started with blues back when I was really young. My uncle played bass in a blues cover band. So I used to go and watch him and got into people like Jimi Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan, that type of stuff. And then that was like me early teens, maybe even a bit earlier. And then round about that time, it was the new metal scene. I wasn't really into it, to be honest, but I just vividly remember being at home ill one night, laid on the couch, couldn't settle, flipping through channels, came across MTV2 and Slayer Seasons in the Abyss was on. And I was just hooked from that day forward. And then I think it was I'm Broken Pantera straight after that. And then I just ended up going down that rabbit hole of thrash metal, listening to bands like Metallica, Megadeth, basically the big four. And then as I got older, started getting into college and stuff. Some of my friends were like showing me Cannibal Corpse, Vile, God Obsessed, that type of stuff. Black metal, Satyricon, Nemesis Divina, and then just it progressed from there. And then at that time, I was doing like DJing in kind of little pubs on the alternative night in the local town. And there were some bands were popping up in the town, bands like Gutworm, Detrimentum. So kind of started becoming friends with all these type of bands. And then I ended up at Bloodstock and I was meeting up with some of the Detrimentum lads because Eddie had left one of his hoodies at the show. So it was just to give them back. But then a lot of the people that were at our campsite were like Junkie John from Gore Rotted, Paul the Geck from Crepitation. And then it just kind of spiraled into the brutal death metal scene I'm kind of stuck into now. But then also like Dawn of Chaos at the time were restarting back up. And one of my friends who I was at Download with, I was just messing about drunk, doing some death metal growls for a band. He was like, oh, we're looking for a vocalist. Why don't you come along? I think I was like 16, 17 at the time. And then 10, 12 years later, I was still in Dawn of Chaos before we kind of split ways with that line because there's been so many different versions of Dawn of Chaos over the years, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the kind of thing. It's lineup changes can really make or break a band,
Yeah.
especially depending on who's leaving. Like you usually like big example, right? That's floating around the reuse now, the whole Linkin Park debacle.
Yeah.
Obviously you're not going to replace Chester. Let's be real here, but I give them credit for them trying, even if it's not really my thing. Like
Yeah.
she sounds all right, but it's no Linkin Park. It's not got that angst. It's not got that
Yeah.
same bite, and it's kind of a completely irrelevant scene to what we're on about, but
Yeah.
the same kind of principle, and that's must have been what happened for Dawn of Chaos. Did How did Rumination kind of come about from the ashes of Dawn of Chaos?
So when I left Dawn of Chaos in about 2010 with that lineup, them lads went to go on and form Vassavus.
Hmm.
I was signing Profound Law now. And then was about a year and a half, 2 years ago, some of our friends, Gillian and Gareth used to promote in Glasgow, Wise Guys Promotions.
Hmm.
They contacted and said, look, we're debating doing a reunion show. We know you've kind of, you're not doing it anymore. Would you be interested in reforming for this one gig? So, but we want this lineup, the first lineup that played with Donica and played the Wise Guys show. So I
Hmm.
said, I'll message the lads. It'd be cool to see everyone again in the Glasgow scene, see what happens. So I made a group chat, and the lads were like, this sounds like it could be fun. So we started getting together, practicing, and it was going really well. We were kind of enjoying ourselves. And then a year of practicing, we kind of got a message off Gillian saying, unfortunately, the 13th note shut down. We only wanted to do the show at the 13th note because of how special it was to our shows. So it's not going ahead. So we were kind of like, well, what do we do? I thought we'd put a lot of effort and time in, so it would have been stupid not to do something. Ken was really enjoying playing music again in a band. So we were kind of like, let's see what happens. Let's get Christmas out the way, and then we'll go in the new year. And then obviously we're all old now, so people's lives change. Dan, the bass player, couldn't commit to it. Ben had got a promotion at work. The drummer, he couldn't commit to it. But Ben was saying, was like, look, I'm quite happy if you just want to do a gig, like you've put the effort in type thing. And Dan was of the same mindset. So speaking about a few people, and I'm friends with Liam from Vulgar Dissection. And he was trying to get Donna Chaos because like when we'd been in the pub and stuff, we said, "Oh, we're doing a reunion gig." He was like, "Oh, will you play our show?" And I was like, "Ah, it's only going to be a one-off." And then anyway, Liam ended up joining on bass, with Christian, the old Vulgar Dissection drummer.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we were going to do the reunion shows, which ended up being Vulgar Fest, and then obviously Slam Fest, what we've got coming up. And then Christian unfortunately left, and then we got Joey in from a local band called Desolation, and this is how this kind of lineup was kind of formed for Dawn. And then we were getting offers from Dead of Winterfest saying, "Do you want to come and do this?" But I was like, I don't really want to beat a dead horse. It's been fun to do Dawn of Chaos, but like I don't want to drag it out for more than it is because, like I said, there's been so many versions of Dawn of Chaos over the years. But because we were enjoying ourselves, we said, "But we'll play as a new band," and that's when we've made Rumination essentially.
Do you see yourselves kind of going down the same musical route of Dawn of Chaos? I know you sent me the links to everything, but just with life's been chaotic with work and everything, I've not had a chance to really check it out. So what would you say kind of Rumination is going to sound like, I suppose? Is it going to be a continuation of that kind of style? Are you going to do something different?
Rumination is going to be a bit more of the brutal death metal style, a bit more like the songs we've been writing at the moment, kind of influenced by Gorgasm, Disgorge, Severe Torture, that type of stuff. There's a lot of kind of Dutch brutal death metal influence in there, like Disavowed and stuff like that. So I'd say we're going more that way as opposed to the kind of old school technical Cannibal Corpse death metal that Dawn of Chaos used to play. We're kind of pushing it a bit heavier.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely a fan of hearing that because on my journey through kind of extreme music, as much as I love old school death metal and tech death and deathcore and everything, Slam, especially like the last couple of years, has been what's kind of tickling my brain in that right
Yeah,
way. I love me some big stupid chug riffs and
yeah,
meme samples and obscene cover art. Like lately I've been listening to the shit out of the debut Peeling Flesh album. Oh my
yeah.
God, it's so fucking stupid. I love it. To the point where they even put out a separate version of the album called the Crunk version, where
Right.
everything's fucking slowed down to like a third of the tempo. Like those old like hip hop cassettes where everything was super kind of it was like you're on some kind of opiate or something. It's all trippy and it's so weird, but it oddly works. But hearing that definitely makes me even more excited for Dead of Winterfest. So I got my ticket the other day. Really looking forward to it and seeing a lot of new bands in there as well. It's
Yeah,
really cool because that's kind of because I've been chatting to like Kendo and Kwando and everything because I went
yeah,
to the first one and it was absolutely incredible. It's in my top five gigs of all time.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, class.
And I was wondering like where they would go with this one because obviously you try and do things bigger and better.
Yeah,
So seeing that they're doing the two nights thing and it's nice to see that it's not 14 bands in one night because I will
yeah,
tell you one thing, it was a hell of a struggle to get through the first one because it's 11 of pretty much the same thing.
yeah.
Um, which is it's not a bad thing, but definitely I think by like the eighth band, I was like, fucking hell, I could go home now.
Yeah. And when it's the same thing, and if you're getting played like death metal music in between the death metal bands, you're like,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you're looking for a band on the lineup going, when am I having my food break? When am I getting some fresh air and stuff? So you usually end up missing one band. And then when you come back, everyone's like, that band were amazing. You're like, for fuck's sake.
Oh, I know. But here's the thing with me. I'm one of those people that is stupid, and as soon as they get their spot at the barrier, I don't leave it.
Right.
I don't leave it to drink. I don't leave it to pee. I know it's bad for me, but I keep doing it because I am that obsessed. So you don't have to worry about that with me. But it's really cool to see that it's getting a much more varied lineup because everybody in the last lineup, while they were amazing,
Mhm.
it was kind of a lot of the same thing, maybe slight variations like Consecration, for example, or Death Doom. And then you have like Brain Bath and like Penny Coffin, that was super kind of near grindy.
Yeah.
But this one, they are definitely kind of doing a wee bit more of a variety. Like, again, there's some brutal death metal in there. There's a lot of old school death metal that'll never go away.
Yeah.
But these kinds of things are important. And I had like the last episode that I put up was with Al from Coffin Mulch. And that was
Yeah.
something that we spent a lot of time talking about was eventually if these people are going to put on shows with the same kinds of bands, the scene's just going to kind of dissolve itself because everybody's playing to the same crowd. You're not growing, you're not reaching new fans. And it's something I should have mentioned in that interview, but one of like you might know the band Archspire. I watched a video on Dean's YouTube channel about how they put together their tour last year
Right.
and how they kind of took themselves and then picked support bands that reflected an element of the headliner but without too much crossover.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's something that more tours need to do and just more so shows in general. Because one, it stops with the ear fatigue of just constant blast beats and stupid noises.
Yeah.
And also it grows bands' fan bases. If you have a death metal band playing with a hardcore band or a thrash band playing with a black metal band or what have you, you see that kind of thing going on a lot in the US. Like I see a lot of like Dying Fetus will play with someone like Terror or
Yeah.
Madball or whatever, which I love that shit. So I
Yeah.
hope to see a lot of that coming through here because not only will it stop with the ear fatigue, but it introduces bands to like new fans. Like if you like thrash metal, there's a good chance you are going to like death metal. If
Yeah.
you like death metal, there's a good chance you're going to like black metal. And so on and so on. And maybe you'll like slam and deathcore, but they're kind of depending on the bands that you show people, it can be you got to show them the good stuff,
It's
especially
like,
when that continue. Sorry,
no, sorry, you crack on. Sorry, I interrupted you there.
no, it's just kind of it just depends on what kind of stuff you show people. Like you want to show somebody the best of a particular genre. You
Yeah.
don't want to show somebody here's this band that's just kind of mid or terrible. But
Yeah.
hopefully we'll get a lot more of that in the scene soon. And they're definitely making some strides with the lineup of Dead of Winterfest. I had a chance to listen to pretty much everyone on that lineup, and I'm mega stoked. I'm really excited for it. But you continue with what you were going to say.
I was just say I saw Joe from Slamfest having this kind of same conversation with someone in the comments on the Slamfest announcements, where somebody went, "There's not much slam on there," and he was like, "Well, unfortunately, Tech Death, Gore Grind, Slamfest didn't have the same ring, but I think that's the same problem, like in the sense Slamfest has been going for so many years. It was pre-COVID and everything. It's like, how many slam bands can you get on? Like you can obviously get like a big headliner and stuff to pull people in, but then local bands, how many UK slam bands are there, which are going to be a variety, a bigger variety, sorry, to like make it interesting every year.
Hmm.
Because you also don't want to have like the festival house band as well, dear, where every year the same band's on every year because the local, they bring the same people in. So I suppose, yeah, it can become a bit stagnant. But I suppose the other thing is the Scottish scene at the moment seems to be heavily towards that old school death metal
Hmm.
side, doesn't it? So there's probably a lot of bands to choose from in the early years of Dead of Winterfest as well.
Yeah, it was pretty much 90% of the lineup. Pardon me, for Dead of Winterfest this year, it was predominantly Scottish. There
Yeah,
was Cremulation from Wales. I really like them, and their stage banter's fucking hilarious. I love that kind of sarcastic, very dry kind of humor. There was Vulgar Dissection
yeah,
as well. I'm really happy I got to see them. Oh God, who else was there? I need to have the lineup on me, but and also just having everybody from different scenes as well. Like if the entire lineup was just Scottish bands, don't get me
yeah,
wrong, it'd be good, but it needs that kind of extra variety in there. And it's cool to see that for next year's Dead of Winterfest, that they're getting in some European acts. Like, I'm fairly sure Repuked are from, I think, Sweden or something,
Yeah,
which they sound sick. Can't wait for them. I
yeah,
think the general rule of thumb is if I can't read the logo, I'm probably gonna like it. Let's see, can't read that, or I'm having to really just like squint in. It's like, yeah,
yeah.
I'm gonna like that. But yeah, he's the owner of Slamfest is completely right in that it does need some variety. Like you can't keep booking Cranium. I love
Yeah,
Cranium, but you can't
yeah,
have Cranium playing every year.
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how this pans out, and hopefully this kind of message does kind of spread and promoters do kind of get that in their heads that it's like even the other day I was at a gig for a Scottish band called Hellripper, which is like
Um,
black thrash and that kind of thing.
mhm.
The two support bands were just straight up thrash. And I think it would have benefited from maybe having like a hardcore band in there or a straight up black metal band. Kind of like I was talking about earlier, how like each of the support acts in Archspire's last tour. One
Yeah,
was like a super raw death grind band. One was like a kind of modern, slightly technical progressive band, and one was like a more organic kind of thrashy style.
yeah,
Those bands being Benighted, Entheos, and Psychroptic. Yeah, the name blanked me. But they all reflected an element of the headliner while still sounding different enough to be interesting and to
yeah,
bring in new fans. Because
yeah,
that's how these bands grow. They have new people come to their shows, new people listening to their music, buying merch, tapes, whatever it might be. But they're definitely kind of they did pay attention to that with Dead of Winterfest. I definitely want to have either Quando or Kendo on here to kind of pick their brains a little bit with how they pick this year's lineup and then next year's. So hopefully I can get on with that. But as for you guys with Rumination, I know that we had talked before this and you were talking about how you've got some stuff written and you've got some stuff recorded. What do you see yourselves kind of putting it first? Are you going to go the kind of demo route? Are you going to go the EP route? Or are you just going to go, fuck it, here's an album?
So at the moment when in 2 weeks' time recording a two-track EP taster, which is going to be free for everyone at Slamfest. Just going to get a load of flyers with a QR code. If you attend Slamfest, you get the two tracks. And then after Slamfest, we're back in to record another two tracks, which will be all four going to be an EP for physical release. Can't say too much at the moment, but a Scottish label and the owner's favourite wrestlers, Macho Man Randy Savage, is releasing it on cassette. Uh, if that's a hint, I don't know much more. But yeah,
I think you've kind of nailed it there. I definitely know who you're talking about. I know not everybody will talk about it, but obviously I will keep it quiet here. But
but yeah,
I think people will know. Everybody that watches this comes from like the Glasgow metal scene. They'll
yeah.
know. Of course they'll
So,
know.
so yeah, that's getting released. 100 cassettes, and that hopefully be ready for the time of Dead of Winter.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to hearing everything recorded. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys live. Is there obviously with this being kind of like the very start of Rumination,
Mhm.
have you kind of has there been any thought into kind of doing anything kind of different live? Because everybody's wearing camo shorts and unbranded shoes. Everybody's got fucking like long hair or is bald and just kind of doing synchronized head banging and windmilling and that kind of everybody sees that kind of thing. Has there been any discussions or anything kind of what could we do different? What could we do to go, oh, what's that band that did that thing, that weird thing that was like, why would you do that? Or that kind of thing.
Nah, there's been no like gimmick talks or anything. It's just a case of get on stage. At my age, hope my back doesn't give out and just make some silly noises on stage. Really.
That, to be honest, I love me some silly noises on stage, and I can definitely relate to the back being out thing. My back is killing me today. I'm not going to lie to you. So I completely relate, even though I'm not even 30. So that's fine.
Yeah. Oh wait, you get the 38, mate. It's all downhill.
Oh, I can't wait. Can't wait. To be fair, I've already lost most of my hair, so it's fine. It
Yeah,
can't
man.
it can't get worse, right?
I keep winding me missus up saying I'm gonna go full 80s and have like a bleach blonde skullet and get like a big thick black mustache and stuff, and the kids are telling me off and things at the moment, saying, "Don't you dare!"
Well, why not? It'd be funny.
Exactly. I was saying I'm
That
going to
that
do it
could
for
be the
it.
thing. That
I'll
could be the gimmick, you know?
get.
It could be Rey Mysterio X Devin Townsend or some shit. I don't
I
know.
I was thinking more like 80s Muscle Beach with a string vest and baggy bodybuilder trousers with a blonde mullet, like back when Hulk Hogan was on Baywatch and stuff. That horrendous look.
Honestly, if that became the thing, I would love that. Everybody's just dressed up like it's an off-brand Baywatch.
Yeah,
That could be the thing because you're going to go on stage, everyone's going to see you dressed like that, and
yeah.
that's what's obviously the music will be sick. I have no doubts about that, but that's going to be the thing that gets people talking.
I might get divorced in the meantime, like going for the next boss.
Let's not do anything that will get you divorced. I don't want that to happen. It's already hard enough coming all the way up from down south to play Glasgow. I don't want you losing your house and your kids in the meantime. I would feel terrible if that happens. Anyway, so obviously you've got like a couple shows in the pipeline, got new music in the pipeline. I know with Dawn of Chaos, you were kind of considering keeping it as a kind of like one-off kind of thing as a reunion. Do you see Rumination kind of going further, maybe doing like a short tour or just whatever opportunity allows, or are you gonna kind of keep it to like one-off type things?
No, we probably won't too well. It'll probably be like all days, the odd support here and there. Just lifestyle, family, work. Liam's work makes it hard to like tour during the week as well. Liam's in vulgar and ovulating cadaver, so it does make it a little bit more difficult. I mean, back when I was younger with Dawn, I tried to get obsessive with it and push it and be touring, wanting every gig possible. But yeah, I've learned from mistakes from that. I think when you push it that hard, a lot of the enjoyment goes out of it. And
Mhm.
that's what we're kind of trying to do with this, just enjoy it, get together with a few friends, see people we haven't seen for a while. Like I went down to Development show in June, and it was just a big reunion of all the old school brutal death metal lads like Tom from Grind Ethic, Butters who's in Crepitation Castrated. Yet again, Awful Fest. It seems all the old lads are coming back out into this, making appearances. Awful Fest, all the a few of the ingested lads were there. So everyone we've seen from like 10, 15 years ago, whether they're still involved in music or not, they've all reappeared again. So it's just more about that type of stuff, seeing friends again and just enjoying it and making it a one-off thing as opposed to turn it into a job and making it like tiresome because you're like, oh, I've got to practice this week. Oh, we're doing 3 shows this week, whatever it is, it's let's just enjoy it at our age anyway.
No, I definitely appreciate the honesty, and it's something that I think people should be more realistic about. If you're not going to, put all your eggs in one basket, if you're
Mhm.
not capable of doing that, which obviously not everybody is for work or for family or whatever it might be, then you don't want to force it because when you see, like fans can see when like they think a band is forcing it and it's not
Yeah.
genuine. Um, you can tell in how they interact on stage and like the quality of the music, and you can definitely tell when they just not can't be arsed, but like their heart isn't in it as it once was. And that's something that I would rather have like a dog shit performance, but their heart was completely in it, than
Yeah.
yeah, they're shredding their nuts off, but they look bored and they just like can't be arsed and want to go home.
Yeah.
For example, Opeth. I'll freely admit that I went to see Opeth before COVID, and holy fuck, they were boring.
With us. I think Ghost Reveries was the last time I saw them. Like, so was that like 2005 or something when that came out?
Oh God, yeah, nearly 20 years ago, which is kind of
So
mental.
I think that was the last time I've probably seen Opeth live. It was in Leeds in some like underground cave venue type thing. I think Bear supported. But it was like it probably size of Opeth's crowds now are completely different to like every time there was a quiet bit in an Opeth song, you just heard someone like shouting something random in the crowd.
More
Um,
blast beats.
I think it was more stuff like, "Have you got any leeches for this?"
They're definitely something. They are putting out new music, and I'm not sure if you've seen it, but everyone's like, "Oh my God, he's growling again!"
Right. No,
And
I've not.
it's
I've not listened to Obeth for years. There's so much music that comes out. It's like hard to keep up. Like I was sending my friend some music, and he like randomly goes to me, "Still not listening to that band you sent me during COVID." Like,
yeah,
so you just can't keep up with that much that comes out, especially with if you like different genres as well.
I definitely have that problem. As much as I love my big stupid slam riffs, I like pretty much every kind of metal, whether it be black metal, thrash metal, grindcore. I'll freely admit I'm one of those weirdos that like power metal, unironically. I'll
Yeah,
freely admit that. But it is incredibly hard to keep up when so much stuff is coming out, and it's even harder to find like the great shit in amongst so much stuff that just sounds mediocre.
yeah.
Be interesting to see because obviously everything's kind of shifted digitally, and that was another thing that I talked about with Al on the Coffin Mulch episode. Was he was heavily involved in stuff like tape trading and printing records, and how it was a lot more gratifying way back when like vinyl and cassettes were a thing because you had to look through like thanks lists and like even just like look at the picture of the band in the back and see what's in that guy's t-shirt and that kind of thing. And I still kind of have that same attitude to finding new music as much as like the means have changed. My mindset is still pretty old school, I think, in that I look at logos, I look at album covers, I look at the song titles, and I'm like, that sounds fucking mint. I'm gonna listen to that.
I remember buying Scream Bloody Gorgeous based upon the artwork, going into HMV going, that looks cool. Like these songs look like the down my kind of road. Let's buy it. And then one of your favorite albums ever, for a death metal fan. I think like I still collect CDs. I've got about 10 CDs on the way from Germany. Like every month when payday comes, I'll just blow a load of money on distros from around Europe and stuff. Um, but I think what the kind of digital thing allows you to do is kind of check a band out first, I suppose, instead of like, because I can imagine there's been loads of times people in the old days have bought something, put it in and went, this is fucking shit.
Yeah,
So I suppose it gives you that, oh, that sounds cool. I've listened to one track, I'll check out the rest of the album, I'll buy the album. So it's probably good in that sense. But yeah, I still like the physical thing. Like I know cassettes are coming in, but I'm more of a CD guy, so
I've always been like I've never sorry. I've never really kind of got the appeal of cassettes because I mean, don't get me wrong, if they do like the colored like shell and everything, it looks cool, but it just kind of feels like a copy of like vinyl in a much smaller package, so you can't really see the album art, and the sound quality is just really bad. But
yeah,
then you've got something like vinyl, which, unless you're horrendous at mixing and mastering, your vinyl will sound incredible. And just to my left here, I have my record player and a bunch of like mainly like old school heavy metal records. Like there's some Saxon, there's some Maiden. I think there's a King Diamond album in there. There's a few death metal records. I think there's an Incantation and an Exhumed one in there,
yeah,
but you just have like that giant display of the artwork. It looks incredible. You can see all the little details on it. And there's
yeah,
also like when they do like the limited edition like stupid color prints and stuff. I love looking for that kind of thing because not only is it like, oh my God, that's my favorite album, but look at the vinyl, it's so pretty. It's just that kind of thing that like if I'm going to pick up a physical, I will pick up a vinyl. But again, I usually just kind of stream my stuff, and if I like the band, if they're coming through here, then I will go to the show. I will buy a t-shirt. Just to my right here is my wardrobe that is positively bursting with band t-shirts. So
yeah.
definitely, I love collecting band merch.
Yeah, I think I'd get booted out the house if I got into collecting vinyl. Like collecting CDs is an expensive enough hobby. Never mind going down the vinyl route, which is kind of double the price with a lot of them, isn't it? I
And I
mean,
remember, yeah,
even
it's
CDs now, like some CDs come out and they're like £18. It's
what?
like, yeah, when like a lot of new CDs coming out and you find them like 15, £18.
Wow,
But years ago, it was like when I was a student, I used to go through like the bargain slots on websites, you know what I mean, and try to find them under a fiver because I was skinned. Oh, there's a good CD. Like today's the day or something going for £3. I'll have that. But now, yeah, it can get quite expensive.
I didn't think CDs were that much. I was just about to say, looking at a lot of vinyl, it's like 40, 50 quid, and I'm going, no, I can't afford this.
Yeah, I've just ordered the new Pathology, and I think that was about 17 odd quid.
Wow. That new Pathology album is really good though.
Yeah, they just put out so much music, don't they? It's like I saw a post the other day saying they've got another band member in. I think it was the old guitarist who played on a few of the old albums. He's come back and they're writing for the next album.
And the album only came out in what, May?
Yeah, and they're literally like they went through a period of releasing an album every year, so that's another band that's like hard to keep up with.
Definitely, especially when everything is a really solid, really consistent, which I suppose is kind of a double-edged sword in a way, because while you are consistent, you're not going to have anything super bad, but you're also not going to have anything that's like the magnum opus of whatever genre it is or your discography or anything like that. Which
Yeah.
is that's an interesting kind of discussion to have, is that would you rather have a band that's consistent and
Mm.
never releases anything bad, but also never really has anything mind blowing? Or would you rather have a band that releases mind blowing albums, but every so often there's one that's just complete unlistenable trash?
Yeah. I mean, I think everyone's still waiting for the new Necrophagus album, man, since for the last 20 years.
I don't see it happening. I mean, in saying that, Winter Sun put out Time too, so who knows at this
I
point? Watch, next thing you know, they'll just like do the Avenged Sevenfold thing and just be like, "Oh hi, here's an album."
remember
Imagine.
seeing I remember seeing a meme and it was like, meanwhile, the Necrophagus album, it was a skeleton at the sound desk.
Oh, I've seen so many memes like that. It's like that gif of that old woman going, "It's been 84 years," and it's like new Necrophagist album be like. But I mean, if Winter Sun can put out Time 2 after Christ knows how long, I'm sure
Yeah,
Necrophagus can do something. I will
yeah,
they? I don't know.
I don't
But
think so.
I would I would happily pee my pants if I saw they just kind of, oh hi, here's the new album.
Yeah,
That's the way to do it. If you're a band that has like decades even between releases, just surprise drop it. Just be like, oh, by the way, we're back and here's a new album. Okay, bye. And everyone just kind of lose their minds.
yeah, no promo whatsoever. Just make it available online.
Yeah, just here it is. I know Avenged Sevenfold did a similar thing with their last album, like kind of teasing here and there. It's going to be called this and it's coming out this, but then like October 16th comes out and it's like, oh, hi, new album, go get it now.
Yeah,
And also, I think Gatecreeper just randomly did that with, I think, the previous album. It's just like, oh, hi, here's an album.
right,
Which that album's incredible. And the new Gatecreeper album is incredible as well. It's very, it's very divisive because it's
right.
kind of straddling that line between like being really commercial but still really heavy.
Yeah,
It's still death metal, of course, but there's a lot more of a kind of Melodeath influence in there, which I love Melodeath, so that's fine with
yeah.
me. But my favorite, my love will always be for big stinky riffs. That will always be my love.
I've just the latest stuff I've bought. I got the new Nile album and finally bought the new Deicide album at the weekend as well.
That Deicide album cover is fucking hideous.
I know, I'm not one for the AI. Like,
You shouldn't, like, don't get me wrong, AI can be good for some things, but if you're going to use AI for art, at the very least learn Photoshop to make it your own and not just take what the stupid robot gives you and
yeah,
then be like, hi, here's a new album cover, like Deicide did, and like Pestilence did that for a bit, and then everybody hated it, so they're like, all right, fine, we'll change it.
yeah.
Props to Deicide for sticking to their guns about it, but still, the album looks like a bargain bin fucking GameCube game.
I think also it's putting people out of work as well in it, really. Like, think of somebody who could have done a better job, um, whether it was a hand painted cover or the photoshopped or whatever it is, somebody could have physically had the time and had the money what's there, probably their full-time job as well. And
Mhm.
that's the problem for AI for me. It's taking money out of people's pockets.
It definitely is. Like I follow a lot of death metal artists on Instagram. People like Eller and Cantor, who's done like Heaven Shall Burn. He's done like My Dying Bride. He's done so many incredible pieces. I love his kind of almost oil painted, like Victorian-esque style. And then you've got people like Dan Seagrave, who's done like Rivers of Nile. He's done Ingested. Like Wes Benscoter, like Vince Locke, like what's another one? Kalen Stokerman is another one. He does a lot of the kind of deathcore releases, but some of his
Right.
album art looks incredible. Like he just posted the upcoming album art for a band called Word Shepherd. The album's called Hunger. The
Mhm.
album art is fucking beautiful. And that's what I want to support. I love knowing that a human made this because you can't replicate completely what humans think and feel, and also just being able to like change things, whereas AI, it's just following set instructions, pulling
Yeah.
from different sources and all that.
Where does it stop? Like, do then bands start going, write me a brutal death metal track? Like, and then
I've
AI,
genuinely seen that.
have you?
I've genuinely seen that. There is I don't remember the name of the band, or
Mhm.
band in this case, but it's literally like Melodeath that's made by AI
Right.
with some human intervention, because obviously it's AI is never going to shit out a perfectly produced
Yeah.
track, but this most of the stuff that they write I keep like write it's
Yeah.
um it's made by AI, and it sounds startlingly real. Like even the vocals are AI, even like the music videos made by AI. It's like it looks like an Unreal game. I genuinely don't remember the name of like the project, but because calling it a band feels wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not a band. It's digital music, which there's nothing necessarily wrong with it, but don't advertise it like it's humans doing it.
Yeah.
Be honest, be upfront. Will you get hate for it? Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. But you will have a lot more respect, at least from me, if you admit openly that this was made with artificial intelligence, whether it's album art, whether it's music or whatever. You
Yeah.
will have a lot more respect if you're open about it instead of trying to masquerade it as something human made.
Yeah, I'd probably just imagine I'd avoid it, like just bit old school mentality. I'd probably just think, oh, like yeah, again, there's no creativity, there's no human touch. Like, why do we love live music? Because there's that always that chance something might like mess up. What's going to happen next? Like, are they going to do something fantastic on stage? Back to what you were asking about, like, are you doing anything different on stage? That's what makes live music fantastic. And if you haven't got that human interaction, even in the recording, like, how many bands have probably not meant to do something in the recording studio went, fuck, that sounds really good. Let's keep it in there. And like, I think that's why we love the type of music we do. Otherwise, we'd probably be listening to like manufactured pop music where obviously the singers have fantastic vocals, but it's some bigwig money man behind going, I want it to sound like this, and this is what you're going to do for me. And is it really any different to AI if we went down that route?
No, it definitely isn't, but we could sit here and discuss that for fucking hours, but we like to keep things on this show light-hearted, have fun, just chat absolute fucking nonsense.
Yeah.
That's what makes it a lot of fun. But I know you're a busy man, so we'll get it wrapped up. Thank you everybody so much for watching. This is the first of hopefully a few Dead of Winterfest specials with the artists that will be at Dead of Winterfest 2025. I'll have links to everything down there. I'll have link to what Dawn of Chaos stuff there is down there. Be ready for more Rumination coming out. It's going to be great, and I can't wait to see you at Dead of Winterfest, my man.
Cheers. Thanks for the time, mate. Appreciate it.
No, thank you for the time, because again, you're a busy family man. You've got loads of stuff going on as well as the band, which anybody that takes time out to do this is something I will always be eternally grateful for. But everybody that if you liked what you heard, like, comment, subscribe, feed the algorithm, feed the machine. I know we've kind of talked shit in the machine for like a few minutes, but feed this particular machine so that more people get this podcast in their ear holes, in their eye holes, in their bum holes, if that's what you're into. I don't kink shame. But like, comment, subscribe, everything will be linked down below, and I will catch all of you in the next one. Adios.